championship. Wait, we got a dream. Next to the team, yeah, we can handle it. Wait, soon as I go and I step in arenas, they call me the champ. They know what it is, know what I do, know who I am, who don't understand. Yeah, that's overdue. My trophy say that's overdue. My ring, should be immortalized. Yeah, they know it's true. They couldn't walk a mile or even fit into my shoes. Still, I got a lot to prove, but for all that we've been through, this overdue. This the anthem. Pull up and you know the team is strong. This your anthem. All my underdogs. Everybody get your hands up. Sometimes it's hard, but we made it through. We were struggling for a minute, so that winning overdue. Yeah, they know it's true. Ay, give me the chip, I need the championship. Wait, we got a dream, next to the team, yeah, we can handle it. Wait, soon as I go and I step in arenas, they call me the champ. They know what it is, know what I do, know who I am, who don't understand. Yeah, that's overdue. My trophy say that's overdue.
What is going on, everybody? We are here for your therapeutic 49er talk. It is a painful time to be a 49ers fan. But I figured if we're going to talk and we're going to be miserable, why not do it with my Monday guys, James Cowing and Al. Al, your last name always escapes me.
Oh, Moriello, no worries.
Moriello.
Cowan.
Better known as 49ers Plus Podcast. And your channel is escaping me also. What's your channel's name, James? I forgot.
Let's Talk 49ers.
There you go. Sorry, guys. I'm a little rusty today. I'm a little
right.
distracted with everything going on in 49er land. So we've had about 24 hours since the game started, but not exactly 24 hours to kind of process. I just want to get everybody's overall feeling on what they saw yesterday and just how they're feeling today, letting it marinate for a little bit. Either of you can go first.
Well, go ahead, Al.
Oh, sorry, James. I was going to say it's 9:07 p.m. Eastern, so I guess the game was technically over by this point.
It was.
Well, it might have been 7-3, 14-3 Buffalo at this point. But this was a scheduled loss. Before the season, I had this as a loss, and the way that the past couple of weeks were going, it was certainly a loss. I was surprised that Brock played. When I made my prediction on my Thursday show, I just assumed he wasn't playing, and Bosa and Williams. Didn't know about Demo at that point, but just figured he wasn't playing, and I said 30-13 Bills, which is weird because I had them scoring 3 times with a backup quarterback, and then they scored twice with their actual quarterback. So that's a little, well, it would have been 3 times if Houston fumble. Nothing really surprising here. Other than the defense came out with some juice. That first 3 and out, they were like all hyped. They made a tackle by the sideline, hyped. And then they would have had another 3 and out on the next drive up 3-0, but Charvarius Ward had an illegal contact or whatever it is. And then the Bills just started rolling and the avalanche happened. And, these 2 losses aren't disappointing because we figured they were going to lose, but they got rolled in both games. They were sloppy in both games, multiple turnovers in both games, 3 yesterday. That's what was kind of disappointing about it. The amount that they lost by, how they looked losing, and obviously then injuries kind of coming out of it with the running backs and Kevin Givens, and it's gone from bad to worse in a lot of ways. But in terms of the outcome, it was never in doubt in my mind. When they got up 3-0, I'm like, oh, maybe this will be competitive for 3.5 quarters and 1.5 quarters. That was it. All good.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah. I was there, and it was awesome seeing the Niners in person finally. I've wanted to see McCaffrey and all these guys in person for, how many years? A few years now. So it was nice seeing them. And like Al said, the first quarter, I was like, wow, we got a field goal, and it's feeling good. Oh my God, we got points on the board. And then it just went all to shit, like every week, and a lot of it, I know there's no excuses. The injuries aren't excuses. The snow is an excuse. But I think all of it has to do with the overall effort guys are putting on that field. And yes, I know the snow did have a little bit of something to do with it. That big catch to Pearsall. He was wide open. I was yelling, Pearsall, and he threw it to him, and man, he slipped, and that probably would have been a touchdown right there. The other thing is, I was watching Warner because he's been playing with a broken ankle, and he's such a beast for doing that. But you can definitely tell now that I watched him in person, he's not himself at all, because there's plays where he should have been tacking the hole when James Cook was coming, and he couldn't get there in time, and usually he would. So, I think I knew we were going to lose. I tried to say, I was very, um, not realistic when I said we'd only lose by 10, but, it's just, we're not even close to where the Bills are at. They have a solid team. I think this is the best team the Bills have had with Josh Allen, because finally they got rid of Diva, Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
I think that shows a lot. If we get rid of Devo, or, some of these divas on our team, I think our team will be a lot better, in the coming years. So I think for now, I'm in this state of mind. I'd rather lose the games, get a good draft pick,
Yep.
Prepare for next year, put this one under the rug. Don't even try. I heard Tufunga might come back. It's like, why would you put him in, or Greenlaw just to maybe get them injured? And I was telling Aaron before this, I'm not a Shanahan fan anymore. I haven't been a fan of his since the Super Bowl, when he gave Mahomes the ball after us, because that was why we lost, pretty much why we lost that damn Super Bowl. And I've hated him since then. But
Fair enough.
it's, I don't know. It's not all on Shanahan. I get it, and I get that there's not a good replacement for him. But a lot of the things I saw last night, I think could have been changed coach wise. The schemes and stuff. There's a few times we should have blitzed, and the defensive coordinator didn't do that. It's just all around. The team is struggling right now. And I just want to say prayers up to Trent Williams for his baby. It's really horrible. Him and Chardavius. It's horrible what they have to go through. So just prayers up for those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to give props real quick to the Bills, because the Bills are a really good team. And the Bills did what they had to do. When you have a team that's down and hurt and playing horribly, I used it on Facebook yesterday. I said they took the old horse out back and they put a slug in them. That's what you're supposed to do. If your team is down and they're not playing well and they got a lot of injuries, and you're a good team, good teams crush those teams and then brush them to the side, like what they did yesterday. They didn't break a sweat winning that game yesterday. And that's what a good team should be able to do. So props to the Bills. Their fans, I don't like all of them, but I like some of them. And they're a long-standing, very, very, they've been waiting a long time for a Super Bowl. So they look like a team that could very well compete for it in February, if they could get past the Kansas City Chiefs, who is their bugaboo. And props to them. But yeah, that was that game went about as bad as I thought we could go, and then some. The 49ers just don't have anything left in them this year, guys. From injuries to off the field situation. And we've had two players lose children, one after a year, and one was a stillbirth that happened last month that we're just hearing about now, which any of us in our wildest dreams could ever, or nightmares could ever imagine have happening to us. I know we have all probably had tragedies in our life. I've lost a dad and many grandparents and so on and so forth. But when it's a child who hasn't had a chance to live yet, I can't imagine even coming back and playing. I couldn't get mad at Ward yesterday for how he played, because my mind wouldn't be there either. You know what I'm saying? And Trent Williams, all the gripes and complaining that I do for his play on the field, that doesn't mean I don't like him as a person. It's just strictly football. But you mix that in, and then you go with the offseason drama and the shooting of Purasol. This has been one of the most outrageous seasons when it comes to tragedy that I've ever seen one team have to endure, coupled with injuries, coupled with poor play and bad coaching, and just overall, they look like a team that's ready to go home. And they have 4 games left. They can't go home yet. and it's sad to watch. I am of the mindset too that they need to get done with this season and go home and refresh and get ready for the off season. A lot of roster moves got to happen. There's got to be some coaching change. This season needs to be like washed clean as soon as it's able to be done. And I don't want them to win because I don't want my heart broken again. But they're so bad that I don't think there's a damn chance that they win another game. So I don't know. Yesterday wasn't a surprise. I was telling James that I was able to watch the game because I don't have any expectations anymore this year in a more critical eye and see a lot more things that I haven't seen. And the one thing I've seen more than anything is Jair Brown is not a starting safety in the National Football League, nor should he ever be, because his play lately has been as bad as you could play. And yesterday, his effort was as pitiful as I've ever seen. So, it's just overall, everything's been bad. And at this point, I'm just waiting for the football season to end so I can have some mental rest from this team. And I'm sure they're feeling the same way. So, sucks.
It sucks. Yeah. I mean, five games left. It was a nice stress-free game, regardless of them getting up 3-0. We knew what the outcome was going to be. So there was really not much to get aggravated about. And the same with last week at Green Bay. Like, Brandon Allen starting, they didn't have a chance. I mean, it was laughable. That doesn't mean you want to get rolled. What was it? 73-20 or whatever the combined scores of those two games were. That's difficult to take. Losses, I mean, I even say it in fantasy football, or anything. If I'm going to lose, I'd rather get blown out than lose by a missed field goal or lose because I put the wrong receiver in or the wrong quarterback or the wrong I'd rather just, no matter what I could have done, just beat me. And that's not even close to what the Niners are doing the past couple of weeks. It doesn't even, matter whatever they put on the field. It wasn't a play here or a play there. These aren't the three losses in the NFC West. I mean, God, even the Chiefs game was a whole lot closer. The Vikings game was a whole lot closer. It was a failure almost in every area. I mean, you could include special teams yesterday. I mean, people are getting on Jake Moody for missing a 45-yarder, slightly wide left in a blizzard, which I'm not going to, and then a 55-yarder at the half. People are, we drafted Moody because he can hit those kind of kicks. The only reason they tried that kick because it was at the end of the half. Did anyone think he was going to make a 55-yarder in that weather? It was. And
I just want to say there was no wind. There was no wind. But the flags were not moving.
It wasn't. No, he hit it dead center. He was just short by a couple of yards.
He actually, I think his plant leg slipped when I saw it.
Yeah, he did.
Caused him to slice it.
That's why he missed.
Oh, the first one, yeah, the first one he might have. And then Debo fumbling on the on the kickoff return for good measure. The Niners could have recovered, but didn't, and actually squirted out of, whatever the player was. I don't remember who was on the bottom, and the Bills got it back. It was a failure all around yesterday, and yeah, they're playing right now. I saw you flash it up, James, as one of the worst teams in the NFL, and it's hard to argue it. With what the box scores and the final scores look like the last two games.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say Moody. So I was at the game. First one he made, dead center. The second one I saw when he missed, I thought it was going to be hard to make kicks. Yes, it's, snow and all that, but there was no wind. If you guys, on TV, you can't really see what's going on with the wind unless you see the actual crossbars, and there was no friggin' wind at all. So there was no, I don't think there was, I think he did slip on, I can't remember if the second or the other one he did, but that one, I don't think he had really an excuse for missing that one because there was no friggin' wind. I can't stand Moody. I just think he was such a waste of a third round pick. I mean, the fact that I don't know who made that pick, but I want to slap them because that is ridiculous. A kicker on a third round. And now he he did great in the Super Bowl or whatever, but we need a kicker that's who was it? Akers or whatever, whoever we had. Gold. He was a guy that made most of the damn kicks, he might've had one he missed here and there, but he made most of his kicks.
Didn't have much of a leg, but he was accurate as hell.
Yeah, and Moody is what? Probably, I don't even know. I haven't looked at his stats, but he's probably a 70% 80% kicker, which is
Mhm.
horrible. I mean,
He's
that's
got like tee shots like Tiger Woods.
yeah, that's not
They're
going to
always
do it.
slicing left, slicing right.
So it just shows Aaron's, saying the right thing. We need to make a lot of roster moves, get rid of some
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
He is one of the top guys we need to get rid of. Debo, being there, I saw how he runs. He runs fast still. I saw his legs. He had that one punt. Was it punt return or kick return? Kick return where he went left. He would have went all the way if I think it was I can't remember who it was, but somebody had this block they had to make and they missed it. If they made that block, he would have been gone. And he was doing great on the kick returns, but when it comes to the screens and stuff, Debo just doesn't have that movement anymore, that vision, because he ran right into a stone wall again, and that's been every week. So just I'm just basically salute to this season.
I was
See you
saluting Joe
later.
Shasky.
Yeah,
What
you
is
know,
up, my man?
yep. Jair Brown, yeah, he did not look good at all. That one play where the Bill's tight end got wide open, and thankfully it was snowing because that guy would have ran all the way. He had to take a step, and we tackled him. But Jesus, the guy was wide freaking open. I mean,
I was trying to figure out who was covering on that play because there was such a huge amount of real estate
yeah,
between the tight end and then you see Jair Brown kind of come flying in after. Like,
yeah,
where was he? So,
yeah. He bit. That's why he bit.
I've never wanted an off season to start so fast for the team. Kyle Shanahan, if you guys look, he looks like he is burnt out to
I
the
think he
10th
aged
degree.
30 years this season.
Oh, and I know a lot of people want him gone and, all that stuff. And I know, James, you're critical of him. I'm not there yet, but I understand why people are where they are with Kyle. This offseason is going to be very telling about how my feelings change going forward with some of the decisions that have to be made, hard decisions, roster-wise, coaching staff-wise, maybe even with himself as far as if he allows any other ideas, like we've been talking about, maybe getting an offensive coordinator or bringing somebody on the offensive side who has different ideas. And there's going to be a lot of that this year. To me, it's like the worse they lose, I think that the more they'll be convicted to do what they have to do and do what's right. When you get competitive at the end of the season, kind of like we did in 2017, you start to get all these ideas that things are not as bad as we think and that maybe we're just a couple quick fixes away. I want the wheels to fall off because I think the Niners need not a reboot, but they need a massive retool. They need to get younger. They need to replenish their coaching staff because I think they're a little weak in some areas. And I just philosophy-wise in the way that they're drafting, they need to change some things. I mean, we got on Kyle and John for always going defensive line, all those drafts. And then we're like, we need a receiver. We need receivers. We need this. We need that. We need to go back to what got us to the dance in the beginning of this whole run in 2019, which is defensive line, offensive line. The trenches have to be taken care of on both sides of the ball, offensive line wise, future left tackle, current right tackle kind of thing. Jake Brendel has to go. Left guard's probably gone after this year. Aaron Banks, which it wouldn't be a huge loss because he's been pretty poor this year. And then just defensive line ways, they just don't have any depth. So there's just the worse they lose and the worse it looks. I think it's better for what I think they need to do. It'll be easier for them to make the tough decisions. I don't want to see any close out of the season where we start to get to look like our old self again. And then it's like, oh, it's not really that bad. Because I feel like that would be the worst case scenario for us. I think it needs to fall off the wagon as bad as it could possibly fall for us to make the hard decisions that we need to make in the off season.
Any sort of ringing endorsements or not speaking ill about someone, anytime an owner says it about a coach says it about a player, it means nothing. Kyle doesn't throw people really under the bus. He's not going to take shots at his coaching staff. I mean, I know he had some friction with Steve Wilkes. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to make tough decisions with the roster, but a lot of the decisions are easy in some ways. Like Charvarius Ward's going to walk. Javon Hargrave's going to be a June 1st cap cut. You save $20 million. I think the difficult decision is going to be, what do you do with Greenlaw? Like, is he going to be healthy enough to come back? How much money is he going to want? But someone like Devondre Campbell's over 30. He's a 1-year stopgap. He's gone. You know, you said it. Banks is gone. And I'm excited to see if Banks doesn't play this week, how, his replacement, is going to play, because he might be a fraction of the cost of Banks, and you're going to get comparable production. Doesn't mean you don't try to upgrade, but Feliciano's gone. I mean, he was never going to play anyway, but there's another 32-year-old gone. Eric Saubert's going to be gone. Debo might get traded. You know, what happens with Juice? Kyle likes to run with a fullback, but that's another older player at 32, 33. The Niners are going to get younger in a hurry next year. And I'm excited for what, they're going to have to nail the draft. They're old this year. They're going to get young in a hurry based on who they're just not going to resign or who they're going to cut. You know, if they have 8 or 9 draft picks and they just hit on 4 of them, just hit on 4 or 5, and then some free agents that you bring, they're going to be a younger, faster team next year. If it clicks and is they're the right pieces to put together, is a totally different story. The window is closed for the 2024 49ers for a championship, of course, and I'm sure the playoffs as well. But the window is not closed for this team moving forward, because they still have too many stars at too many important positions for it to go to shit, unless they get bitten with the injury bug again, the way they did this year. And just real quick, not to go totally off on it, if we're all going to sit here and say 2020 was a train wreck, COVID year, injuries, all that stuff, and I think we could say that's the case. I did research, for my show last weekend for this morning. Players who played meaningful snaps in 2020 missed 89 games, from the Boses, the Richard Sherman, Jimmy, Kittle, Debo, whatever. The Niners right now, with CMC done for the rest of the year, Mason done for the rest of the year, and Givens done for the rest of the year, they're at 104 games missed for players who played meaningful snaps, and there's 5 games to go. So any person out there saying, well, it's not as bad as 2020, it's worse than 2020.
It's worse.
And it's going to get worse in the next 5 weeks. I hate to use injuries as an excuse because it sounds whiny, but it's a tangible factor for why this team has not been clicking at all on either side of the ball, and everything just feels so disjointed.
Yeah, injuries are always, it's not an excuse, but it always is a factor for why a team's not doing good. And here's the thing: we kept saying that the injuries would be, because we play hard. But here's the thing: we didn't play hard this year, so maybe it really is all in the personal trainer. Because the fact that these guys are just breaking like paper this year makes me wonder, what the hell are they doing in that gym? What the hell are they doing in that, ice bath? What are they doing in this? What are they doing, these guys? Are they making them lift 500 pounds before a game? What the hell are they doing back there? Mm-hmm. Because there's no reason that, both our running backs should be injured in one game. There's no reason that linemen should be, injuring their legs or knees or whatever every game. It's just, it doesn't make sense. And it's not a recurring cycle, because I guess the last time it was this bad, or almost this bad, was 2020. But it's one of our problems, and mm-hmm. not many other teams have this problem as bad as we do. Yeah, if you look, I'm trying to think of another team that has even close to as many injuries as us, and I don't think there is one. There's not one that's up there with us in injuries. But it's not an excuse, but you got to think, like I keep saying, Purdy's had so many lineups to work with, and you can be a great quarterback and work with that, but not many quarterbacks can do that. They can't have a different running back, a third string running back one game, then the next game the first stringer comes back, then this guy, it's hard.
You can't, you could say next man up all you want, and that's the right thing to say, and that's the only thing you can say. You can't go back in time and stop the injury. It literally is next man up. But when the next man up is such a step down from the player that got hurt, and then you're multiplying it by 2, by 3, by 5, it's a lot to overcome. If the Niners were 5-7 and they were as healthy as they were last year, then I think the narrative is justifiably different in terms of maybe John and Kyle or Brock or whatever. But we haven't seen anything that resembles what the team was last year from either an efficiency standpoint, an explosiveness standpoint, a health standpoint, anything. And health is, again, it's a factor. And I don't, if you want to rate them, I don't know if it's the biggest factor or not. I haven't really thought about it that hard, but it is a tangible factor when you line up everybody that was missing this past game and who's going to be missing this next game. Like, you're in the 20s in terms of number of players. It's crazy pants. They still should have enough to beat Chicago and they still might have enough to beat the Rams to suck us in at 7-7, but it's a thing. Now, do they beat the Bills last night full strength? Probably not. Do they beat the Packers 2 weeks ago or 9 days ago full strength? Probably not. But I'm sure they're competitive-ish games versus what we saw.
Yeah.
How much does the loss in the Super Bowl last February have to do with this team's overall psyche coming into this year? Do you guys think it was damaged? Do you think that they, everybody said all the right stuff coming in training camp, and you had to turn the page and put the year behind you and all that stuff? But that was that loss was more agonizing than 2019 by a long shot. And then you mix in all the other tragedies that have happened and contract holdouts. I really just think that human beings only have so much they can deal with, a breaking point mentally. And I think the 49ers this year were coming in mentally damaged from what happened in February. And then you sprinkle on top of that one of their players almost dying from a gunshot wound. And then you have issues with two players losing their children, one at birth and one after a year old. Mm-hmm. I just think it's too much to overcome. But even at close to full strength, they didn't look quite like themselves in previous years. So, yeah, injuries do have a lot to do with it. And to an extent, they are an excuse, because if, 3/4 of your starters who are all Pro Bowlers and were all part of a Super Bowl team the previous year are gone and not on the field, it does make a difference. Next man up only applies as if you have a really good depth on your team. And we all know that this team is extremely top heavy because they have to pay so many people now. It's not like in 2019 where you can add depth to this position group and that position group, and you can bring in free agents and do all this other stuff. This is a team that is very top heavy. Bosa's been paid, Warner's been paid, Kittle's been paid, McCaffrey's been paid, Trent Williams. There's got to be cost cutting somewhere. And now it shows because the drop off of talent is so precipitous from one position or from starter to backup. You can't compete in the NFL with that.
But it's what teams really have significant depth anywhere? Like, say if you don't have stars on your D line and your entire D line is mediocre, then you're probably not paying that much for them. That means your backups are slightly less than mediocre because they're even cheaper than your starters. So if we're going to call that depth, then I guess they're deeper. But if you're going to have good players, very good players, all pro players, Pro Bowl players, then chances are the players behind them are going to be a super drop off just based on, the financial allocation you're going to make to a D line versus receivers versus O line versus quarterbacks. So I think the depth thing, I put it this way. Have you heard anybody out there, content creators, people on TV, done your own research, where you've come across anything and said, holy crap, that's a deep team? Like, I don't really think it exists. And I think the fact that the Niners are top heavy, it just accentuates when you're out for Bosa and you have to bring someone in, it's down here. When you're missing Williams and Jalen Moore comes in, he actually played, well the past two games. So I don't want to go that far down. But, when Ayuk's out and then Pearsall is absent again 3 straight weeks and you have no tight end beyond George Kittle. Some of it is developmental. That's on Kyle, where doesn't believe in, splitting carries, doesn't believe in getting a second tight end, doesn't believe in a dominant offensive line. Like there are some fundamental things that I think are issues with the roster that the salary cap does come into play with, since it's all a big math equation. But I think the depth issue is a tad overblown, because I don't know if anyone can quickly pull out of the hat, well, they're a really deep team. I don't know if it exists in a salary cap era anymore.
Everybody's two or three big injuries away from
Yep.
Yeah.
having a
Oh,
bad
yeah.
season.
Yeah, it's because they pay too much for these players.
Josh
now.
Allen is such a great quarterback, and this isn't a knock at Brock Purdy, because I want to talk about this notion that we have to move on from him now, because the question's out there. Trust me, if you go on social media, you have a lot of slobbers who watch certain content creators who are nothing but misery merchants, like Al said. We're going to tell you we got to get rid of Brock and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Listen, there's like 4 maybe in the NFL great elite quarterbacks, and they deserve to be paid what they're paid. But to say that Brock is not maybe in the top 10 to 12 is ridiculous. Is he having a down year? Yeah. Has he been absolutely atrociously horrible all season? No. There's a lot of other determining factors go into it. But that's okay, because he's not in that level. And we have to, as fans, grow to understand that Brock Purdy isn't quite at the level of a Josh Allen. But there's 28 other teams that have that exact same problem. The thing is, if someone like Allen, the Bills would be a absolute train wreck dumpster fire team if it wasn't for him.
Mhm.
He's that much of a difference maker as one man. He's amazing. I mean, Lamar Jackson the same way. Patrick Mahomes, he looks bad doing it through like 3/4 of the game, but at the end, he just figures out a way to get it done, right? Like, those guys make the big bucks for a reason, and I want to make sure that people realize just how hard it is to find those kind of quarterbacks. It's luck. A lot of it's luck. Like, I mean, the Niners had a chance to draft Mahomes or Watson, and they decided to stick with who do they draft? They ended up drafting what's his face,
Solomon Thomas that year.
Solomon Thomas
Thomas,
and
yeah.
Reuben Foster.
Yep.
Because we were so
Busts. A bunch of
depleted on the
busts.
defensive and linebacker cores at that point too. So like, I to me, it made sense to build up the trenches, right? Get
Yep.
strong on the defensive line, get strong at linebacker. You know, we're a couple of years away anyway, so why get a quarterback get him beat up or whatever? But it's tough, man. It's tough to get that guy, and when you have it, you can't let him go. But it's when I watch guys like Allen, it's so amazing how different the Buffalo Bills would be if he wasn't. on the field.
that reverse pitch play when
Yeah.
God, Amari Cooper gave it to him. I mean, that was just like the stadium went insane, and I was
That was
in
a heads
awe.
up play.
I was
That
in
was a
awe.
heads
I
up
was
play,
just
yeah.
like, that's crazy. Like, the fact that they're on the same page that good, you know, and like I saw the video of Josh Allen after that play happened. He's like, does that count as a rushing touchdown or a receiving touchdown? And they're all trying to figure out. He's like, oh, it's a receiving touchdown. He's like, oh, whatever. You know, he can do it all. I'm just gonna say, you know, I still believe in Purdy. People can hate all they want. Quarterbacks have bad years. Josh Allen, remember last year? He led the league in interceptions for most of the season. He had a bad year.
Look at
Is he
Murray
having a good
from
year?
the
Is
Cardinals last year.
yeah,
He was awful
yeah.
too.
Yeah, he's,
Look at
you know,
the drop of what's his name on the Texans.
yeah.
Yep.
Stroud.
Stroud's
Stroud has
regressing.
had a precipitous drop this year.
Stroud is like is the same problem as Purdy. Stroud had a great year last year. Purdy had a great year last year. They're both having bad years. People need to
So
learn
you have to get
football.
rid of them all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's the thing now. It's
You
like, oh, we
think of-
gotta. Like,
Yeah, people think, you know, I don't know where these people get their knowledge, but it shows that they don't
do.
watch football. It shows where they don't watch football, because all the greats have had bad years. Steve Young had bad years. Joe Montana had bad years. Every freaking quarterback that is amazing out there, except, I don't know, maybe it's kind of hard. I was thinking about Mahomes. It's like, when did he have a bad year? He didn't really have a bad year.
He's having a bad year this
First,
year, but
first half of this year, he's turned down a little bit. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
year, but like they're still winning, so it's like it's hard to say it's a bad
they're
year.
just a well-coached team with
Yeah.
a really good defense.
Yeah.
But you know,
If-
I'm gonna say this though. I mean, I love Purdy and all, but man, I would take Josh Allen in a minute if I
Yeah.
could take him, because that guy. The thing about Josh Allen that amazes me, and when I saw him out there last night, is he is so calm and fast out of the pocket. That guy, like 1 second, he'll be back there sitting in the pocket. And the next thing you know, he's on the side of the field running a 30-yard run. And he's so fast for such a big guy.
He's a super athlete, man.
Yeah. And, but haters going to hate, I say pay Purdy, build around him, get a good defense. That's all we got to do.
Couple things with the whole Purdy thing. Well, one, just going back to the Mahomes, the defense and stuff. If the Chiefs had the Niners D, they wouldn't be 10-1. They'd be what? 8-3, 7-4, or what are they? 11-1. So they'd be like 8 and if the Niners had the Chiefs D, they wouldn't be 5-7, guys. They'd probably be 8-4. The NFC West losses would probably be wins. And so it's not only the quarterback. QBs get way too much praise, way too much blame.
Way too much blame. Yeah.
We know it. Like it's not tennis. It's not golf. It's not a one-on-one. It's not me playing someone in wiffle ball in my driveway. It's a team sport still. But some of the mid-brains that I like to call them were dropping some like crazy stuff, yesterday and today about one of the quotes. I wonder
who you're talking about.
Well, one of them said like elite QBs have rings. All other QBs are just a QB. So I'm like, okay, so that counts for Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Everybody that doesn't have a ring is just a guy. Okay, got it. Moron. Good. Someone else. Oh, Brock, you got to trade him and just keep looking for the guy. And I guarantee you this moron will be the first one that will be pissed the following season or seasons when the Niners are, waiting in mediocrity or worse about why don't they have a quarterback? Why? And then eventually he would come out and say, oh, we shouldn't have traded Purdy. He doesn't have to be the guy. There's only one the guy any given year. It was Mahomes for a while. It's Allen this year. It was Lamar Jackson last year. The biggest refrain that people yell about is he's not worth $60 million. And that's the only thing that I will give in on or agree with.
I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Dak's not worth $60 million. Allen is, Mahomes is, Lamar Jackson is. Problem though, when people say, well, you can't pay Purdy more than Allen. It's not Purdy's fault or his agent's fault that Allen got a contract a couple of years ago when $45 million a year was the top of the market and things change. It's like saying, well, I'm not going to pay, $700,000 for this house in the Northeast. I'll buy the same house in the South. Like timing and markets and where you are, like things kind of matter when it comes to a quarterback market. And Tua got paid, Hurts got paid, Trevor Lawrence got paid all in the low 50s. Jordan Love got paid $55 million for 9 good games. That's where Brock's going to be. And I don't know if it hurts people's feelings. Like, I don't know exactly. It's not a fear about and some people say once you pay Purdy, you can't build up the rest of the team, because if that's the case, then people just need a little bit more knowledge of the Niners salary cap space, which could be upwards of $80 million with some cuts and moves and extensions, whatever.
Exactly.
Next year. I think they're going to be fine.
I think they're going to be fine too.
I think they're going to be fine. So, so the reticence about, well, Purdy's, the argument can't be you can't pay Purdy because he's not top 5. That can't be the argument, because then what? To your point, Aaron, then all the other 27 teams just have to keep throwing quarterbacks out because he doesn't look like Marino. He doesn't look like.
How many elite quarterbacks have as a franchise, the 49ers? We had Joe Montana, who was arguably the greatest quarterback that ever played football, right? Money in the postseason, 4 Super Bowls, 3 MVPs, you name it. People act like that stuff is just easy to find in the draft. Like you can just find the best the Niners can do. Get a reasonable quarterback to the kid. I don't know, franchise him, give him a 2-year deal, whatever it is. They don't owe him a massive contract because he was a 7th-round pick. This isn't like a 1st-round pick getting, renegotiating for a huge deal. The Niners can be crafty with how they sign him. I do think he's going to get paid, but I don't, like you said, 60 million is not happening with Brock. And that's okay. The best thing you can do is build a team around him. Do you consider Jalen Hurts to be an elite quarterback? No.
He's not elite.
No. Should the Eagles reset their whole team and try to go find another quarterback again to see if no. What they've done is say, okay, he's not an elite quarterback, but he's a pretty good quarterback. So we're going to build a really good team around him that complements him, and we'll go from there.
And that's what they did.
With those other guys, you don't always have to have the greatest team around them because they're that great. Brady was that great. Peyton Manning, it's hard to say. Peyton Manning had a lot of talent around him.
Yeah.
So,
Even in Denver.
He always did.
Even in Denver.
Yeah, Denver it wasn't great, but Demaryius Thomas was amazing.
this is a great point. He says, I saw this year coming. The last 2 drafts, we did not draft to protect Brock. Now the blame comes.
Yep.
Kyle effed it up.
Oh yeah.
Just franchise Brock. I'm down.
Franchising Brock though, it costs a lot of money. That's the thing. That money
Still
is
won't be
money
60
that-
million, though.
Yeah,
I think.
that franchise means like we're going to spend all that money in 1 year versus spreading it across 4 or 5 years. You know, that's the thing about franchise tagging somebody. It costs a lot of money in that first year. I don't know how much it would be because I really don't know, but usually it's a lot for 1 year. You know, another crazy thing I wanted to mention was people were saying we should take Darnold over Purdy, and I'm like, okay.
Aaron Rodgers.
You guys don't
Daniel
know football
Jones.
because here's the thing.
Ugh.
Darnold was his backup last year, first of all. Second of all, Darnold has Justin Jefferson, okay? Is he going to have Justin Jefferson on the Niners? No, he's not. Why is he having such a good year? Look at the team around him. He has a good offensive line. He has Justin Jefferson. He's having a good year. Next year, I can 100% bet you
They're
that
probably
Darnold's
not
not
going
going to have
to
a good that Darnold's not going to have just as good a year.
It doesn't
you
look
know?
like they're going to re-sign him because it looks like he's going to get paid somewhere because
Yep.
some stupid franchise is going to think that he's
Idiot.
Yep.
somehow found
Idiots.
himself, and
Yep.
Daniel Jones will become the quarterback
It's like
of that
Geno
team.
Smith all over again. It's like Geno Smith all over again because
Darnold
same
may go to the Raiders and they're bereft of talent, and he's going to look like Sam Darnold like he's always looked. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the one thing to get back to Brock though, you know, with the franchise tag, remember too, he still is under contract next year, so you can't franchise tag him until 2026.
okay.
And it's a possibility, right? It's a possibility because it technically can happen. But for folks that are saying out there, I haven't seen enough out of Brock yet, you know, the Niners should make him play on his last year next year. Did Bosa play on his last year? Did Debo play on his last year? Did Ayuk play on his last year? The answers to that, in case people are wondering, are no, no, and no. And Brock Purdy, as good as Nick Bosa is, all-pro, defensive player of the year, all that stuff, Brock Purdy is more integral to the Niners' success than Nick Bosa is. He just is, because he's the quarterback, high efficiency, high caliber quarterback, and it's the most important position in sports. If I'm Brock Purdy's agent or Brock Purdy, I am not stepping foot on the field in 2025 without a contract. So anybody saying, well, I need to see more. First off, not you guys, who the frig are you that you need to see more? Lowbrow, mid-brain content creator? You don't have to see shit. You just have to sit in front of your TV, watch the game, and turn beer into piss. That's all you have to do. Kyle's seen enough. John has seen enough. Jed's seen enough. If you combine 2022, his rookie year, and the 11 games this year, that's a 16-game sample, he's over 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. It's pretty damn good on top of what he did last year. He was like, 31-11 and over 4,000 yards again. I don't think we need to see anything else out of Brock. Can't play in snow. He plays in San Francisco. Doesn't matter. Can't play in the rain. Came back and beat the Packers. He's injury prone. He's missed 1 game in 2.5 years. He's injury prone. Internet doctor dude that a shoulder is because of his elbow and da-da-da. Missed 1 goddamn game. All of the arguments you could shoot down, bang, 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 because they're illogical. If people are reticent to pay Brock because it sounds like a lot of money, I get it. But if I'm Brock or Brock's agent, all I have to point to is Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Tua, and Jalen Hurts and say, you're telling me I'm not worth that? The market's the market, guys. It's going to happen. Folks out there, if you're watching, that don't think or Brock shouldn't get paid, start coping now. Start weed, alcohol, drugs, whatever you need to cope. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Stop letting content creators who stream with an OnlyFans model and who are all married men tell you what you need to think or how you're supposed to feel about the 49ers. Do your own deduction, do your own research, do your own work.
Use
Don't
your
listen
own
to
freaking brain. Jesus.
I am sick to death that people let like you said, like midbrains.
Yep.
I mean, for goodness sakes, like I can't get as many views or subscribers because I don't show my ass on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong with myself?
Oh, wait a second, though. None of us are wearing bras. Why don't
know
we
where
get more
Brian-
attention? No,
That's what
we're
I'm
not
trying
wearing
to say.
bras. Like
So
Miss
you're gonna
Areola
listen
or
to-
whatever. And like it's
Oh,
just
you want to see some titties? No.
and it's so listen, and at the end of the day, none of us are saying Brock's a top 5 quarterback. None of us are saying Brock's a top 7 quarterback. If Brock's somewhere in the 8 or 9 to 13 range, 1, that's okay. 2, it's proven that they could win with that. And 3, that still gets paid.
Who did the Eagles
still
with
get
in
paid.
20? Who did the Eagles win a Super Bowl with in 2017? Last time I
Foles.
checked.
Oh, Nick Foles?
Is Foles an elite quarterback?
No.
Brad
He had
Johnson,
a good
Trent
year.
Dilfer, Doug Williams. I mean, Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler. There's a lot. I mean, it doesn't happen regularly, and Brock's not in that class. But again, you don't need the elite guy. The elite person gives you a chance to be in every game.
If you built a team or destroyed a team or listened to someone like Grant Cohn every freaking week about how the Niners are gloom and doom and it's all coming to an end, and he had to be right eventually because they've been doing it for years because that's what gets them paid. But you gotta use your own brain when watching these things. You gotta be able to do your own work, man.
If the Niners organization really was second guessing Brock Purdy, they will draft a quarterback next year. That's what will happen, but that's not going to happen because they're not second guessing him.
They
at all.
have so many more pressing needs on this team.
Well, you know what I'm excited about next year's draft? You remember when we drafted DeForest Buckner and Armstead?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that year? We drafted both of them. They both came out of what school? Oregon. Oregon is number 1 right now in the FBS. I'm very excited about that because that was a great draft. D-Buck was a beast. Armstead, I know you guys don't like him, but he was good back then, and
he served his purpose, but he was hurt way too freaking much.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Oregon's up there again, so I hope we get a few defensive linemen, maybe from them or Ohio State or something, and a big.
So I guess Armstead was drafted the year before Buckner. So is that?
Oh, never mind. Yeah, it was the year before. My bad, but it was close. And those 2 years we got a lot of defensive linemen and defense. And I've been watching a little college. I don't watch college football that much, but this year is a great defensive year for draft. So I'm kind of excited about this draft because let's say we lose the next 4 or 5 games, whatever.
They're going to have a top 10 pick.
We might have a top 10 pick, and
somebody said if they lose to the Bears, they secure themselves a top 10 pick.
Yep.
I have to verify that at some point, but
that'd be great.
It is what it is. You got to do what you got to do, man, to make your team better. Yeah. You're not going to accept that you're a top 10 draft team. Like, no, we're better than this. We don't belong here. No, the 49ers are going to kindly take that spot in every single round, and they're going to try to get the best players available to rebuild this roster. Only a stupid idiot would, deny it happens. Listen, I really do believe at the trade deadline, guys, that they looked at this team and they looked at where they were going. I didn't think when everyone's like, oh, they didn't make a move for a pass rusher. There's so many issues going on with this team this year.
Yeah, that's very fair. Very fair.
Yeah, trade for an old defensive lineman. Come on.
A guy you have to pay 1 year and you have to give away draft capital for. It's not smart.
Chase Young, do another Chase Young.
My brother said he's like, it's so smart that you guys didn't fall for the Chase Young thing again. I was like, you imagine that if they went back to that well?
That'd be horrible.
He showed effort in like 1 game, and it was the game against the Jags. And after that, dude was on Dream Street. Like he was half asleep out there every game.
And he still got paid. Just goes to show pass rushers are at a premium, man. He only signed a 1-year deal with New Orleans. He'll probably get another $10, $12 million a year. He's not having a fantastic year with the Saints by any means, but protect the quarterback, rush the passer. Super important.
Yeah, we got to draft defense. I'd say first 2 picks, draft defensive lineman. 3rd round pick, get an offensive lineman. Maybe
I'd go offensive tackle. If you have a top 10 pick, James, you got to go OT. They got to get better up front. They need to protect Brock.
But here's
As
the
much
thing:
as I
you can get
want
some
an
really
edge
good.
rusher, we got to get a tackle.
You can get some really good offensive tackles in the later rounds though too. I'm not saying like super late. I'm saying
But they
third.
need someone
third.
who's going to take over for Trent. They need an
Yeah.
elite level Tristan Wirfs,
Mhm.
Penny Sewell
Yeah.
level
I see what
offensive
you're saying.
lineman.
Yeah,
I don't
like a Joe Alt.
disagree at all. I think Kyle and that coaching staff's philosophy may not agree, even
Yeah.
though they went
They probably would
McGlinchey.
agree with James more like we'll go defensive line twice, two picks.
I
in a
mean,
row.
they went McGlinchey in 2018, and that
He
was
was
a top 15-ish
Yeah,
pick, right? They
that's
didn't
what I'm
hit on
saying.
it, but they tried. I don't know. I mean, if they went D line
Good old
round one and O
McFloppy.
line, if they went D line round one, O line round two, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody falls to them because they're going to be mid-round picks, so it's not like they're drafting 30 anymore.
Titan Party says they missed on Wirfs and are still paying for it. Yes,
Oh,
they
yeah.
are.
They are. Yep.
They drafted Mr. Old Reliable, broken down knees, Javon Kinlaw.
Oh God.
That guy.
What a waste.
He's got knee. I'm 40. I'm about to be 45. I have a really bad right knee. Okay, I've had 2 surgeries. It hurts all the times. It's swollen, but I'm 45. This man was in his early 20s. The Niners knew he had knee issues coming out of college. Still drafted him.
Yep.
Why? Because they just have like a boner for like guys who have all sorts of physical problems that they think once they get to the NFL, it's all the Niners will find a way to fix it. And the Niners,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when they get damaged goods, they're one of the worst teams at fixing it. So
The only guy that was good was Frank Gore. Frank Gore was the only one that was injured all through college, and then he came in and
Yep.
and that is such a rare outlier type thing to happen too, because most guys who come in that damaged, who did we draft? Was it what was this? Not
Marcus Lattimore. Are you thinking
Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah,
He had 2 blown out tires already coming into the league, right?
Yeah, they drafted him. It was like a 3rd, 4th, maybe a 5th. It was a mid-round pick, and it's a shame it never panned out. It's great that they gave the kid a chance, but they could have given the kid a chance as an undrafted free agent.
You miss Boobie Dixon. Never really did much for us, but I kind of missed him too because I don't know. For some reason Boobie Dixon was the guy, and I don't know why he was the guy.
He was a Harbaugh guy. Harbaugh loved him.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Remember that one fullback we had with the red hair, and then he, he turned into like a woman beater, and then we lost him.
Oh yeah.
What his name was.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
He was a ginger like me with a ginger beard. I forget his name.
It was on one of the Harbaugh teams. I could see.
Yeah, it was definitely. I remember because they had that one commercial that one year. Bruce Miller.
There you go.
Bruce Miller. Yeah. Oh man, he was a beast.
Man, just like me.
He was a beast.
He was a really good. I'm gonna add. This is not one of my topics, but I'll ask you guys this: which team is more? How do I put this? If you had to compare the Harbaugh's best team with the Shanahan's best team, which was probably, would you say 2019 or 2023? Who was the better team?
2023.
Yeah, 2023.
I forgot exactly how I was going to word this question, but which team do you think fumbled the bag more in not winning a championship? Do you think it was the 2023 team or the 2013?
I would say 2023. They were healthier. They were a more talented team than Harbaugh's team. Harbaugh's probably a better coach team. You can make the argument. I mean, it'll be a tough one given that he hasn't won a ring yet, but Jim Harbaugh is a top 3 coach in the NFL. He's probably a top 3 football coach across college, pro, high school, anything. Like everywhere he's gone, he's immediately turned programs around. That is hard to do. And it's not, if you just did it once or twice, but you're talking 4 times? San Diego, Stanford, San Francisco, Michigan, 5 times. Like that's unheard of. Whatever he's selling, people are buying. I think Shanahan's team had a chance in the second half to put their foot on the throat when they got the Jair Brown interception. They were up in the 4th quarter. They were up in overtime. I don't recall. I don't think, did they turn the ball over against the? Oh yeah, the punt return muff thing that they gave the Chiefs a touchdown. The Harbaugh brothers Super Bowl, like they just got rolled early and had to come back late. The only thing that bothers me about that Super Bowl, a lot of things bother me about that Super Bowl, is when you're inside the 10, you don't throw 3 fades to Crabtree, you throw 3 fades to Moss. You just single up Moss on their smallest corner, let him go up with his pterodactyl arms and just pull the ball down. It was tunnel vision that just didn't work. But remember, Justin Smith was injured. He shouldn't even have been playing in the playoffs. The Ravens had a plan for the read option. I think the Niners had the Chiefs on the ropes at times and didn't put them away in a down year for Kansas City, more so than the Niners and the Ravens. Niners more talented team, Harbaugh better coach team.
Yeah, I agree with that. 2023, we should have won that.
We were a really good team last year.
Yeah,
my brother made the point.
Yeah,
my brother made the point. He said, "You guys, it was the year to do it. Last year was the year to do it. It really was. The stars were aligned in every possible way. We had a really good. I mean, our defense was. I wouldn't consider our defense like as good as it was before because it wasn't. But I would consider our offense. I mean, head and shoulders above that 2013 team or the 2019 team. I mean, Brock Purdy was playing an MVP level last year.
The only difference I would say is, Kaepernick had the arm and the legs, more than Purdy.
But by that time, they had teams started to figure him out.
Yeah,
teams started to figure him out, and by 2014, he was.
Yeah, after he dismantled the Packers, everybody was like, "All right, we got to cover. You got to have a spy for Kaepernick." But yeah, last year, really when Greenlaw went down is like when you could feel the helium escaping from the balloon because it just deflated the defense, and you could see that the was running with his head covered.
Yeah.
He just couldn't do anything to get Kelsey. So last year we had such a good chance. I mean, it was heartbreaking. Back in the Kaepernick years, 28-3 after the first half. I mean, the fact that we actually came back was amazing, but we had Frank Gore. I still haunt myself for that one though, because it's like you said, Al, we have Randy Moss. I mean, you have freaking Randy Moss, first of all, and second of all, we had Frank Gore. Could have ran right up the middle. We had good offensive linemen.
They had a huge offensive line. That was a really good offensive line that year.
I know, and it's like you couldn't just run Gore. Oh, it still haunts me to this day.
Did you guys ever see the post-game interview where Navarro Bowman was getting interviewed? And you could hear stupid ass Ray Lewis in the background, like doing all his super preachy thing or whatever. And like, dude, Navarro Bowman was hot. He was so mad. I felt so bad for him because at that point, Ray Lewis wasn't really Ray Lewis anymore. But he was taking all the glory for winning that Super Bowl. And I was like, I remember watching that press conference because the boots were really close. Bowman's kind of disheveled, kind of down, sad, and all you hear in the background is him doing his, his spiel, making it all about Ray Lewis. And I just remember Bowman's face being like, I just want to put a hole through the back of this guy's skull, and he couldn't. So.
That defense was amazing, though. I'll never forget that defense. Bowman, Willis.
The way they hit.
They destroyed people back then.
Smith. Imagine what that career could have been if he just didn't get crazy.
If Kaepernick didn't sleep with that man's woman, things would have went way different. But Kaepernick, his girl cheated on the dude's girl cheated on the dude with Kaepernick, and that was literally that's what happened. Like there was that kind of stuff going on behind the scenes. Of literally, dude got cheated on.
That was a wild team. That was a wild team.
That crazy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Imagine if that happens at work. Could you work with someone who you found sleeping with, with your significant other? No, you want to kill them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It happened on a football team too. People are like, you just got to let that stuff go. No, I'm not letting it go. Absolutely not. So people forgot
practice was probably fun after that happened.
Oh my! I would have been trying to disable that guy for sure.
We were like the Raiders back then. I mean, Alden Smith got like gun charges, beat up his woman, and like. We had a few guys that were going to jail,
Chris Culliver got caught with brass knuckles. Remember that cornerback? Yeah. I haven't thought about brass knuckles since that movie 3 O'clock High from the 80s. Yeah. Like, that's not even a thing anymore. And that dude gets, come on. Well, where's your gun, dude?
Yeah.
I'd respect you more if you had a gun instead of brass knuckles.
The stream went like pretty much the way I thought it was going to go. It's just not a lot of positive stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
We talked about we talk about coaching, but we didn't really get specific on it. Nick Sorensen They asked Kyle about him. Kyle took all the blame. He doesn't have an issue with Nick Sorensen. That scares me a little bit. I wanted to get
Yeah, it
Al's
does.
perspective on that one because that does not sit well with me. Are you kidding me? Really?
It's hard for a coach. I mean, what is
What
he
is he
really
supposed
going
to
to say? Like, I
Okay.
would love to go back and maybe you guys remember, other than having Wilkes come down out of the booth. And even when he said that, I don't think he said it in a very pointed manner. He never really took shots at Wilkes. And there were games that Wilkes called and things toward the mid and end of the season that looked Sorensen-ish bad. But winning cures a lot of ills and it masks a lot of things. I think because the Jets, and thanks a lot, Jets, for not beating Seattle. Thanks a lot, Aaron Rodgers, for your pick six up
Aaron Rodgers
21-7. That play by itself could have kept the Niners within one game of everybody in the division. But
Yep.
A-Rod is an a-hole, and he missed Garrett Wilson before. Like, unbelievable. But no, Sorensen was not their first choice. I don't know how far down the ladder he was in terms of choices, but with Saleh getting fired, and Saleh's not coming back. Saleh's not coming back. I think he would think of that as a step backwards in his career. Even if he's a D coordinator somewhere else,
Oh, yeah.
that's a sideways. It feels like he'd be running back to Kyle. So it's not going to happen. But if Ulbrich was a possibility, I'd totally be for that. Former player. The run defense on the Jets is a concern. You'd have to tighten that up. If they blow up the Browns completely, I'd be cool with Jim Schwartz. And the Cowboys, I'm sure Mike McCarthy's going to be gone. If he's not, that's even funnier. But if he's gone and Mike Zimmer's available, I would grab him too. Three defensive coaches that I don't think anyone's going to want as a head coach moving forward or in the next couple of years, that can grow with Kyle, that has called plays before, that knows what they're doing. It's not Sorensen's fault that he's in over his head. I mean, he got the position. What are you going to say? No, I'm not going to do it. But I think who's equally at fault is Brandon Staley. If you have a little bit more knowledge about defensive stuff, then why is the Niners defense not improved in areas that they've needed to improve the past 6 games? And you got to, like, Aaron, you said a couple weeks ago, like, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. If you have 2 guys on the defense, not calling games, but game planning, then you kind of have none, and one's a rookie. So Kyle said he had
the old too many cooks in the kitchen metaphor.
I don't think, maybe, but I don't think anyone's turning on the stove. I don't even know if it matters how many cooks they have. I don't think anyone knows how to use
I think Sorensen looks like he deals with those little crystal meth stoves away.
Yeah.
He looks like he makes it in his basement, so he might know his way around stoves. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. He has a 1980s haircut too, like he just perfectly fits that profile.
I think Kyle understands. I mean, not that he would make a change because of this, but I think he understands how bad the optics look with Sorensen, that even if he was convinced, and I don't think he is, even if he or Lynch were convinced, I think they would still make a move. One, because there are going to be better people out there. You're never trying to stay the same. You're always trying to improve. There are going to be defensive coaches out there that are an upgrade over Sorensen. So unless those coaches say no to Kyle, there's no way he doesn't talk to anybody else. It's on those other people to say yes. He can't force them. So Sorensen can come back if other people get better offers, better deals, better money somewhere else, better situations. Remember, they just can't kidnap Ulbrich and say, you're D coordinator now. Yeah. So there is the possibility
they can build up the defense and give him another shot at it and be like, all right, we're primed. We have we've addressed all the needs in the draft. Here's a second crack at it. I just think that's
the selling point right there. You have to have a selling point, and if we don't fix what our problem is, of course nobody's going to want to work with us. But Nick Sorensen is just it feels like he's like a guy that wants to be a coach, but he's not really. Like I
somebody's
see him.
Brother got hired. Somebody hired him. He's somebody's brother.
Exactly. He's like the
never coached football in his life, but hey, you look like a coach. You want to be one?
Yeah.
Sure,
it's like the spoiled rich kid that got the big daddy's job. It's like
just stand there with a card that only says rush 4, drop 8. That's all.
Exactly.
That's all the play calls.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
And then maybe blitz linebacker is the other play call once in a while. No. That's it.
But we got to change a lot. I mean, we got to take some of the offensive pressure off Kyle too. I think You know, it's like he has so much pressure on himself. You know, there needs to be like I would say like it's not a real position for a coach, but I would say like the assistant coach like for offense. You know what I mean? Like somebody who can, hey, like I got this good play right here, Kyle. Like
Yep.
check it out. You know, something like that because you know Kyle can't put all this pressure on him too because when your defense sucks like it has this year, then it puts more pressure on your offense. Hopefully next year, you know, our defense will be better, so he won't have so much pressure. But on both sides, I think we need a lot of coaching, special teams, of course. I mean, please get somebody on that because it's last game. I mean, I was surprised. It was hilarious, guys. So on one of the punt returns, they punted it to I can't think who it was, Cowling, and I was like, "Don't touch it! Don't touch it! Please don't touch it!" And everybody's looking at me like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And he caught it, thankfully, and he ran to the sideline. I was like, "Oh my
I
god!"
was thinking the same
almost
thing
had a
watching
heart
the
attack.
broadcast.
Yeah.
I had the television muted, and I was
Yep.
thinking, you better
Don't.
you better catch this. You better
Yeah.
catch this.
I
Thinking it
know.
might hit off his chest or his face mask.
Ah,
I just want to know whose idea it was to have the 49ers wear white in the snow. Like,
I know. That was
what are we
stupid.
doing?
I
No
was
wonder
asking my
Brock
dad.
didn't see anybody.
I was
It
asking
blended
my
in.
dad, you know, like what colors did they wear back in the 80s? Because like I guess
the
they
same
still
white.
wore it was still white, but I think we need another alternate jersey for
They need
game.
an all gold color rush jersey, something
Yeah,
that
or
looks
like a
like
big red stripe right down the center of the
obnoxious
jersey.
looking.
You know,
I like the
something dumb
black
like
ones. I like the black ones back in the Kaepernick years, but
Yeah, they
you
haven't
know,
done that in like 10 or
those
so
were
years.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were sick. There's a
anything
lot
else?
to fix. Lot to
I
fix.
would say that, like I said before, I'd rather have them lose hard and go out losing this year
Yeah,
because I feel like any sign of hope or any sign of positivity is going to impact John and Kyle's ability to make real wholesale
exactly.
changes. I really have that feeling because they've shown it in the past that
5 and
they're willing
12.
to give people too many
5 and
chances that
12.
don't deserve it. Go ahead.
So not what you're rooting for. Let's
Thank
go
you.
through because we only chat on Mondays. Like, let's give a
Yeah.
prediction for this upcoming week. Now we know McCaffrey's done, Mason's done, Kevin Givens is done on the defensive the line. Who knows about Williams? Who knows about Bosa? Demo should play. Not what you want to have happen. We have the Eberflus-less Bears coming to town, which means maybe the Bears get a little bit of like, you know, the interim coach bump. Yeah, I feel better probably about this game if Eberflus was coaching. But if you had to put, like, all right, I don't say if you have to put money on it. Thoughts, predictions about this game, even though we're 6 days out and we don't know the injury report and all that good stuff.
We're losing. We're losing. We're losing. I don't care how bad the Bears are. We're losing. I think we're done. This season is done. We're just effortless. The whole team looks like crap. I'd say like 24. I'd say like 24-13. I don't even think we're going to score 2 touchdowns.
I think the Niners fumble their way into a victory. 20-15. I don't know. The Bears will go Bears on them, do something stupid. Because I mean the Bears are really bad. At least I hope.
5-12. 5-12.
I would really love for the Niners to just go and try to get that, top 7 pick, but
5-12. Baby.
I have a feeling that they'll find a way to beat Chicago because Chicago's pretty bad, and they are without a head coach. But I don't know.
I'm with you. I think they probably like a 23-13, 23-16 type of game. I think they win, and then it's 6-7 with the Rams coming in on Thursday.
I really hope
like
not.
then people are but if they win, they get to 7-7. The Niners aren't going to tank. Tanking isn't like a real thing, except in basketball, which is funny because the way the lottery is set up, you can't guarantee yourself the top pick if you have the worst record anyway. So, I have a feeling they're going to suck a lot of people back in, guys. I think they're going to win their next 2 at home. They're going to suck a lot of people back in, and
so they're going to give
then they'll get killed by
people. They're going to get people to suck.
Yeah, they're going to get people false hope.
False hope. No, that's
horrible.
That's what it's going to be. But I think it's going to make maybe right. They win the next 2, maybe makes the last 3 weeks a little bit more interesting to watch. Now, if the Seahawks play Arizona wins, that knocks Seattle down. I'm not saying anything I'm not a homer, and I do not. I mean, I took the Bills again yesterday, given the points. I mean, because I'm not a homer and I'm not an idiot. But man, there's the real possibility they suck us back in and give a shred of hope
Yeah.
by beating two not good teams at home.
Well, this division sucks, so anything's possible.
Math, right? They're in it till they're not.
And then this is what's going to happen. They'll win the next couple games. Sorensen's defense will look really good. They'll decide to keep him. They'll extend him after that second game at home.
Oh, can you imagine?
Special teams will have like 2 100-yard returns.
Oh, God.
They'll resign the special teams coordinator as
Oh,
well,
God.
because that's
Don't
how
say
John
this,
and Kyle.
man.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, like
Don't say it.
they don't
be
like making the
horrible.
hard decisions. This group, as much as they've helped build and rebuild the Niners to respectability and made them a competitive team with a great roster. When it comes to making hard decisions, I think they really struggle with being the bad guy.
Wait a
personally.
second. You don't think cutting Ronnie Bell was a hard decision?
No.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I was so happy when I saw that. I was like,
I still can't believe
Oh,
how he
my God.
volleyballed that ball in LA. Like they threw it to him and he went like this.
Hot
Like, I don't
potato.
want it. Hot potato.
Yep.
yeah, he ran away from it. Oh my God. He's
7
horrible.
weeks too late, but
I
got
just saw
done.
his brother playing in college yesterday or the other day. And I'm like, please don't draft him either. Please.
Where does he play? In what position?
I can't remember, but I think he's a wide receiver too or something. I can't remember what team it was, but they
Okay.
said Bell Jr. or Bell something Bell.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, I think they said it was his brother.
Don't
Boy.
underestimate the importance of finishing the season strong. Low draft picks are nice, but developing rookies now with a few minute wins can go. That's also true.
That is
a
true.
great. That is a
That's very
great.
true.
Listen, this is the miserable prick in me talking.
Yeah,
Who just
me
wants?
too.
Who just is
too.
going to go 100%
Me
negative.
too. I'm just done with this season.
I'm very like watching that game yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, they still have games left to play. This is, I mean, they don't even look like that. These guys don't even look like they want to be on the field right now.
Well, at least Guarendo's going to get touches until he gets probably hurt
Until he
the
gets hurt.
second quarter.
Yeah.
Pearsall, playing. I mean, Mustafa's got him playing time. I mean, Green's getting playing time. Evan Anderson on the D line, so they're getting some of the young players playing time, which is good, which will benefit them for next year. The only thing that I don't believe in, there's no carryover from one season to the next.
Nope.
Say they end on a 3-game winning streak and they don't make the playoffs. There's no carryover to next year because 20 players on the team are going to be turned over anyway. So hey, let's get Pearsall a catch. I don't think we want to go more than a month without Ricky Pearsall getting a catch. I mean, come on, a little Jacob Cowing, maybe he can get a 20-yard punt return, like little something to get the rookies and the young players some confidence and more experience. I would be all for.
Man, I feel like this is the 2016 49ers all over again. Oh.
Well,
we're going back to the Chip Kelly era, man. This is watching it yesterday, it felt like the Chip Kelly 49ers. It was like one team did not deserve to be on the field with the other team. That's how poorly they were playing.
Well, that's the last game I'm going to Buffalo at because
the Niners haven't won in Buffalo since 2008, I think. Something like that.
Yeah. I'm not going to the line at the Bills game was insane. It took us an hour to get in.
Terradome,
we were
I
in
totally
line.
agree with
It
you.
was ridiculous.
Were you able to sit down?
No,
were the
I
seats cleared?
stood the whole game. So my seat wasn't covered, but the snow was up to my seat. So I wouldn't have been able to sit comfortably. So I was standing the whole game.
Look like Max Crosby, guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Same physique and everything. Spitting image.
Oh yeah, I'm very white and very non-muscular.
Well, you're
very white
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any tats though, but he's like very not cut. He just looks like a normal, skinny, like kind of tall white guy with absolutely no muscle mass whatsoever.
It's like if Post Malone was a football player.
Right. He's like the antithesis of Bosa.
Yeah.
Bosa's Mr. Jacked, right? He's jacked. And then there's Crosby. But Crosby, it proves that you don't need to be jacked to play to be an elite pass rusher. I mean, I love Bosa's physique. He looks great in shorts and a t-shirt during minicamp, but dude, Crosby is just a dude and he's still killing it. So
Yep.
Terradome, kind of speaks to a lot of the stuff that I see on X is that people don't appreciate Brock. He says, I don't want Brock playing for Kyle Shanahan team or fan base. Just go somewhere else. I hope they waive him or trade him somewhere else. It's just there's so much disrespect and lack of appreciation what Brock Purdy's done since he's been here. And how quick the 49er fans turn on him because of the people that they listen to, because they don't have brains of their own and they're easily swayed. I don't know, man. Next week's probably going to be rough too, guys. So we'll see you then next Monday, same
Please,
time.
5-12, 5-12.
6 and 7 coming at you.
6 and
Next
7.
Monday.
Niners are going to
5-12.
find a way to get themselves back into playoff contention.
Shut up, Al. I want 5-12, damn it.
All right, everybody. We'll see you
All
then.
right,
Take
see
care.
ya.
Everyone, guys.